Both the major parties have shown time and again they don't care about our environment.
If you're going to read from a statement, I'll have to move on.
No.
And Jonathan Parry from the Greens.
Thanks, Rick. As you said, my name's Jonathan and I'm running for the Greens in Solomon's election because I love my home here. It needs to be protected and the people of Darwin and Palmerston deserve genuine representation and strong leadership. The Territory is at the forefront of the climate, housing and cost of living crises, and we need bold systemic change to address these issues. The major parties lack the political will, they have no new ideas, and are content to tinker around the edges while our standard of living backslides. All signs are pointing to a minority government in Canberra, which means the Greens team can hold the balance of power, which gives us the power and the leverage to negotiate better deals for Darwin, Palmerston and the Territory. This last term, we used our power to secure an additional $3.5 billion for social and affordable housing, won workers the right to disconnect from work after hours, and blocked the major parties from using significant taxpayer funds to prop up the dying fossil fuel industry. Greens pressure works. The last time the Greens were in balance of power, we got dental into Medicare for kids, and this time we're going to get dental and mental into Medicare for everyone. We'll make sure everyone can see the GP for free, tackle the housing crisis, make childcare universal and free, make price gouging illegal, invest in an independent Australian foreign policy, and bring integrity back into politics. All our policies are fully costed. We can pay for a better future by making billionaires, big corporations, and tech giants pay their fair share of tax. We can't keep voting for the same old parties and expect a different result. If you want change, you have to vote for it. This election, only the Greens can be trusted to make Labor keep its promises and go further to make government work for you. This election, vote one Greens.
Jonathan Parry from the Australian Greens, what would you do to make rent more affordable? Can you do anything if Labor or the Coalition wins a clear majority in the House of Representatives?
Thanks, Rick. Just to start, I want to correct something that Luke said about us teaming up to block the housing bill. The Greens secured $3.5 billion negotiating with Labor when initially Labor wasn't going to put any money towards building new houses. It was further, many years down the line. The Greens secured that because we were in the balance, because we were negotiating with Labor and pushing them to act. In terms of the housing crisis and renters, the major parties have both said they want house prices to go up. So just sit with that for a second. They don't intend the cost of housing to go down because they're too busy looking after wealthy housing investors and property developers to look after Australian families. They want to give away $180 million over the next 10 years to wealthy property investors when that money could be better spent on building public and social housing. We've got a comprehensive policy to look after renters, first home buyers and people in public housing. For renters, we want to cap rental increases at 2% every 2 years, so renters aren't squeezed out of their homes by greedy landlords. And we need to establish a national renters protection authority. We know that rental rights in the Northern Territory are some of the worst in the country. And we want to establish this national authority so that renters don't have to choose between complaining about black mold in the ceiling and getting kicked out because the landlord will go somewhere else.
Jonathan Parry from the Australian Greens, what should happen to the Port of Darwin? What should we be exporting from that port?
The fact that the major parties' announcements on the future of the Port of Darwin, it misses the mark about what's needed to address the issues facing the Territory. It's a piece of critical infrastructure and it should be in the hands of the public. And if we're going to buy back the Port of Darwin, let's use it as an opportunity to recharge the Territory and create an alternative economic vision to tackle the cost of living crisis and create energy security and thousands of sustainable future-ready jobs.
So what are those jobs in what industries?
Those jobs, well, the major parties have committed $1.5 billion towards the Middle Arm petrochemical hub to help multinational gas companies make record profits. The Greens will withdraw that support for Middle Arm, and in addition to buying back the Port of Darwin, we can put that money towards massive public investment in clean energy infrastructure. So investing in energy and skills to fix the NT's unstable electricity system, providing energy security for households, delivering energy upgrades for every low-income and public housing dwelling in the Northern Territory, which will give families economic relief and the cost of living crisis. There isn't a need to destroy the beautiful natural environment of Middle Arm and jeopardise Palmerston and Darwin's air quality by creating a dirty petrochemical hub. The infrastructure we need in terms of having a port is already there, so why aren't we using it?
Just before we move on, Jonathan Parry, you did mention Middle Arm, so I'll give you a short time.
I've got more to say, Rick. Yeah, both the major parties have shown time and again they don't care about our environment.
If you're going to read from a statement, I'll have to move on.
No, look, I just want to say that the sustainable energy precinct, the only viable, the only business case is fracking the outback. The Environment Minister failed to pull the trigger when it comes to polluting fracking projects in the Northern Territory. And on that question, Lisa, of hospitals and education being expensive, let's tax billionaires, tech giants and billionaires and big corporations.
Good morning to you, Jonathan.
Good morning, Katie. Nice to talk to you again. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Lovely to have you on the show. Now, we got 8 minutes. I've got a raft of questions to get through. It's up to you how fast we get through them. Are you ready?
Fire away.
All right. Jonathan, first off, why do you think you're the best person to represent the seat of Solomon?
Katie, I'm running for Solomon with the Greens because I love the Territory and I want to see the Territory thrive. Right now, people are facing multiple crises. A massive cost of living crisis, a housing crisis, and of course the climate crisis. These challenges require bold, decisive action, but the major parties are just tinkering around the edges. The Greens are the only party that is offering real action. In a wealthy country like ours, everyone should be able to afford the basics, a home, food, and access to world-class health and education. Katie, did you know that 1 in 3 big corporations currently pays no tax? Katie, I'd suggest you pay more tax than Chevron. The Greens will tax big corporations, billionaires and tech giants to pay for the urgent cost of living relief that Australians need. That's like getting dental and mental into Medicare, seeing the GP for free, securing universal free childcare for all Australian families, like capping rent increases, lowering mortgages, and like stopping new coal and gas and taking real action on climate change. Instead of working for you, Katie, the major parties are taking hundreds of millions of dollars in donations, and we can't keep voting for the 2 major parties and expecting a change. If we want change, we have to vote for it. The Greens can keep ducking out and get Labor to act. That's why I'm so excited to be running as the Greens candidate for Solomon at the upcoming election.
Jonathan, cost of living's been raised on this show as the number one issue for voters. What are you going to do to lower the cost of living for those in Solomon?
That's a great question, Katie. A home is a basic human right, and like so many issues facing the Territory relating to health and community safety, it comes down to housing issues. We're talking about cost of living and housing. At the moment, Labor and the Coalition give $176 billion per year in tax handouts to wealthy property investors and first home buyers and renters being left in the lurch. The Greens want to give renters and first home buyers a fair go. We want to phase out handouts to property investors with more than one investment property so that first home buyers can compete in the housing market. We'll establish a public property developer and invest in building more public and community and housing for Australians. To help cost of living, we will cap rent increases to 2% every 2 years so that renters don't have to choose between paying their rent and paying their bills or buying their medication.
Can I just go back to that? So did you say that that you would cap people from owning more than one property?
No, cap rent increases to 2% every 2 years so that renters don't have to choose between rent and buying their medication.
And what were you going to do for those that have more than one property?
Well, I suppose the question there, Katie, is if a landlord or someone who owns multiple properties can't pay their mortgage, then they sell one of their investment properties. But if a family who doesn't have a home, is facing eviction and they can't make their mortgage, they're living in their car. So I suppose that's the choice.
Sorry, I was just trying to wrap my head around what you'd said. I missed that first part of it. But were you wanting them to be taxed further? Was that what the situation was if someone's got more than one property or if they've got an investment property?
Yeah, well, what we're looking for is reducing the ability for people to. Sorry, Katie, excuse me.
You're all right. Yep.
What we're looking to do is getting our priorities right. And that's about fixing the housing crisis and giving renters and first home buyers equal footing in the housing market. So that means that people with multiple property investment portfolios aren't prioritised over people who can't afford to live.
Okay. When it comes to livability, we know flights and connectivity remain a big concern for a lot of people. How do you think that you'd be able to help people living in regional parts of Australia on this issue?
That's a great question, Katie. And in many ways, this is about the services available to people in rural and remote areas. We want to ensure that Australia in the 21st century has systems to support future economy, jobs, education, health, and a way of life. So what we know is that poor connections and unaffordable services are creating a digital divide for people on low incomes and in regional, rural, and remote areas. As you would know, Katie, most of the Northern Territory is classified as rural or regional or very remote. And so this is particularly relevant to us here in the Territory. The Greens will improve connectivity by re-establishing a $3 billion communications fund to support regional, rural and remote areas to have the same connectivity and the same services that the rest of Australia enjoys.
Jonathan, can I ask, I know that migration numbers, and I've asked this of all the candidates, are looking to be an issue as we head to the polls. We've got both the major parties saying that they want less migration as Australia struggles through a housing crisis. Here in the Northern Territory, we've got a situation where we obviously need the international student numbers increased for Charles Darwin University. We also are in a situation where with some jobs we have got critical shortages that can't be filled. What do you think? How do you think we need to manage migration in Australia? And then when you look at the Northern Territory?
So first off, I'll say, Katie, is that the Greens believe everyone deserves compassion, fairness and the opportunity to thrive regardless of where they come from. The Coalition and Labor has decided they want to villainise migrants and refugees and blame them for the housing and cost of living crisis. Migrants and refugees contribute enormously to our community and our economy and need to be respected. We can have a thriving multicultural community and a strong, equitable economy because the real cause of these crises is not migration, it's weak politics. We just need to get our priorities right, Katie. The Greens are committed to building more houses and giving renters and first home buyers equal footing in the housing market. We want to invest in the essential public services we all rely on, like public hospitals and public transport, to make sure that everyone's needs are being met. And we can pay for all of this. It can all be paid for, Katie. This is all costed by the Parliamentary Budgetary Office by making big corporations, billionaires and tech giants, all of whom benefit enormously from our skilled migrant workers, pay their fair share in taxes.
Jonathan, one of the questions I forgot to ask the Independent, but we will certainly ask him, have you decided where your preferences are going to go?
Look, no one should take anything for granted, Katie. I just wanted to say that we welcome the variety of independents who are contesting this election. This is democracy in action. At the last election, about a third of Australian voters chose to vote for an independent or a minor party. And I hope that that's a wake-up call to the major parties that Australians aren't happy with the status quo.
All right, we've got about a minute left. Just wondering, how will you ensure the voices of Territorians are heard on a national stage?
Well, first off, Katie, I've got a loud voice. So that's one thing. But what I want to say is that Darwin is on the forefront of the climate crisis. The major parties are putting the interests of fossil fuels industries over the interests of our communities and our planet. So what I can tell you is that I'm not selling anyone's vote. I'm there fighting for the people of the Territory and being that voice to secure the interests of the people in the Territory and the people of Solomon in Canberra, rather than committing to billions of dollars of subsidies for petrochemical plants in the middle of Darwin.